Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Shah and this is Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. Today I am going to be doing the first video in a series that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of years, which is my module reading lists for a master's degree. Just a little bit of context before I start. I'm currently studying a master's in modern literature with an optional creative writing module. I'm doing this part-time as I do still work a full-time job. I'm crazy, I know. And the way it works out is this year I am doing 3 modules and next year I'll be doing 3 modules. So today I'm just going to be breaking down the modules that I'm doing this semester. So I'm doing 2 modules. I'm doing a Modern Lit and Theory 1 module, and then the other module I'm doing is called Research Methods, Writing and Skills. So that module, the Research Methods, there's no reading list. It is pretty much a module that is just there to get everybody up to scratch. Some people doing a master's have come straight from undergrad. Some have come from undergrad but different unis to the one I'm currently at. Some people have been out of uni for years, like I have been out of uni for 3 years. There's a woman there who's been out of uni for 8 years. So it's just about getting everybody up to the same standard. I do think it's a bit of a waste of a module. I think it could be done like voluntarily. However, it's accredited to my course, so I have to do it. There's no reading for that module. So we'll move straight on to the second module of this semester, which is Modern Lit and Theory 1. So this module is literally what it says on the tin. It is a module getting you up to speed with Modern Lit and Modern Theory. This is just for the first semester, so this is up until the middle of January, I believe. The course is split into 3 separate modules, so I will talk about that as I go through the reading material. But I'm currently really enjoying this module. It's something that I didn't think I would enjoy because there's a lot of poetry for the first part, but it gets more into novels and short stories and things as we go. So the first part of this module is called A Movement, Modernism, and we are doing a lot of American poetry. We are doing pretty much all of it from this book, The Penguin Book of American Verse. This is edited by Jeffrey Moore, and this is just a collection of numerous American poets. Because we're doing modernism, a lot of our poets tend to be the early 20th century. I'll go into more about modernism in future videos, but we're doing poets such as William Carlos Williams, Ezra Pound, T.S. Eliot, H.D., Marianne Moore, and we're doing a lot of reading from this. As well as that, we've been given this little booklet which has got more poems in and a few essays based around the people. So that is the first part of the module. So we do that for 3 weeks, and then we move on to the second part of the module, which is called A Decade, the 1940s, and during this we are looking at another 2 novels. So I'm really excited to actually get to the novels. First is The Ministry of Fear by Greene. I actually don't know what this is about. I believe it is a war book, as Greene writes several books about war. I read another book by him for my undergrad, which was about the Vietnamese War, and I can't remember what it's called. The Quiet American, it was called. So I believe this one is set in London during the war, so I'll read the blurb. From the Blitz on London, Greene gathered up the pieces for what must be his most phantasmagoric study in terror. Arthur Rose was a mind hamstrung by guilt, the guilt of having mercifully murdered his sick wife. He was standing aside from the war until he happened to guess both the true and the false weight of the cake at the charity fay. From that moment, he was the quarry of malign and shadowy forces from which he endeavoured to escape with a mind that was out of focus. So I believe this book looks at the war and the wider effects of war. It's very short. A lot of Greene's books are very short. It's 220 pages, so will not take me long at all. I remember reading The Quiet American in one night when I had to read that for my undergrad, so I am looking forward to reading this, even if I'm not necessarily a fan of his. And we also have Hangover Square by Patrick Hamilton for this module. This book I again don't know much about, but I hauled this recently in my drunk buys. London 1939, in the grimy publands of Earl's Court, George Harvey Bone is pursuing a helpless infatuation. Netta is cool, contemptuous and hopelessly desirable to George, and George is adrift in a drunken hell except in his dead moments, when something goes click in his head and he realises without a doubt that he must kill her. So it looks like that these 2 books focus on similar themes of war and killing women, which will be so fun, I'm sure. I am just talking about these books and what we're studying them for, like vaguely, because I don't actually know. I'm just gonna do what I'm told. And then the last part of this module looks at Canadian literature. So it's a module made up of 3 modules. Started off with modernism, then we've moved on to the 1940s, and now we're on Canadian literature. And I'm really excited actually about these books that we're reading. The first book is Roughing It in the Bush by Susannah Moody. This is a chunky book, which I believe is a collection of essays, Potentially. I'm not 100% sure. It's got quite an interesting blurb on the back. When Rushing It in the Bush was published in 1852, it created an international sensation, not only for Susannah Moody's glowing narrative of personal incident, but also for her firm determination to puncture the illusions European land agents were circulating about life in Canada. This frank and fascinating chronicle details her harsh and humorous experiences in homesteading with her family in the woods of Upper Canada. Part documentary, part psychological parable, Roughing It in the Bush is above all an honest account of how one woman coped not only in a new world but more importantly with herself. So there we go. Following from this, we're also reading Wilderness Tips by Margaret Atwood. I believe this is short stories. A leathery bogman transforms an old love affair. A sweet, gruesome gift is sent by the wife of an ex-lover. Landscape paintings are haunted by the ghost of a young girl, and this dazzling collection of 10 short stories takes us into familiar Atwood territory to reveal the logic of irrational behaviour and the many textures lying beneath ordinary life. Believe it or not, I've never read any Margaret Atwood. However, I really am looking forward to starting to read her. I had to buy a couple of her books at undergrad because she was potentially going to be featured in my dissertation, but ultimately was dismissed from that. However, this one looks like a good place to start, considering it's got 10 short stories. So I'll probably love some, I'll probably hate some, who knows, but I'm very excited to get to this one. This looks like it's gonna be good. And then the last book on this module, actually it's not, there's one that I haven't bought yet, is In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje. This is supposed to be amazing. I'm not going to read the blurb of this one because it's huge. This is basically set in the 1920s about a man called Patrick Lewis who has arrived in the bustling city of Toronto, leaving behind his Canadian wilderness home, and looks at him integrating himself into Canadian society. The part of this module is looking at multiracial Canadians and life in Canada as being multiracial, so I'm very, very intrigued by this. I'm probably the most excited to get to this book because even though I don't know too much about it, when I read through the notes on the system, even though it just says the reading list, this has got a lot of hype behind it. My lecturer seems to really have a very high opinion of this book above all others, so I am looking forward to reading this. Also quite short, so nice and easy. And then the one book that I haven't got yet is one that I just haven't found cheap secondhand yet, so I'm going to have to get a copy of that, but it's the last book on the module, so we're not reading it till after Christmas anyway, so I'll just get it with birthday money or something. And that is The Map to the Door of No Return, which is by Dion Brand. Now, again, I don't know much about this one. I know it's to do with African culture in Canada, which is really interesting. But again, until I've got it, I won't know much about it. I don't have a blurb or anything to read to you. So those are all the books that I'm going to be reading on this module of my master's degree. In the second semester, so that starts in the middle of January, middle to the end of January, I'll be doing Modern Lit and Theory 2. These are just the core modules that I have to do in my first year. In my second year, I'll do my optional modules. I'll do another video for those later on. But I'm really enjoying doing my masters so far. I've really enjoyed going to lectures and seminars again. It's just really, really fun. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, and if so, what you've thought of them. Did you study them for school or university, or did you just read them off your own back? I'm dying to know. And as usual, I'll leave all the links down there as well. Let me know if there's any other videos you want to see looking at my master's degree, and I'll see you all in another video very, very soon. Bye.